The crisp December air of 1958 hung heavy over Portland, Oregon, like a shroud waiting to descend. It was a time when families bundled up against the chill, their breaths forming fleeting clouds as they prepared for the holidays. Christmas lights twinkled in neighborhood windows, and the scent of pine wafted from freshly cut trees. In the quiet Roseway neighborhood, at 1715 NE 56th Avenue, the Martin family embodied the era's wholesome American dream. A hard-working couple and their lively daughters, all poised for a simple outing that would etch their names into the annals of unsolved mysteries. Kenneth Martin, a sturdy 54-year-old electrician employed at Eccles Electric Home Service Company, was the steady anchor of the household. With his practical demeanor and a penchant for tinkering, he was the kind of man who fixed things, not just wires, but the small fractures of daily life. His wife, Barbara Jean Martin, 48, was his perfect complement, warm, organized, and devoted to her family. She managed the home with grace, her navy blue coat and black print dress often seen as she shuttled her daughters to school or church events. The girls were the light of their world. 14-year-old Barbie Martin, a freshman at Grant High School, was blossoming into a young woman with rolled-cuff jeans and a beige coat that spoke of teenage flair. 13-year-old Virginia, thoughtful and artistic, and 11-year-old Susan, the spirited youngest with the infectious giggle, completed the picture. Their eldest son, Donald, 28, was away in New York City, a Navy veteran pursuing graduate studies at Columbia University, spared from the fate that awaited the rest. On the evening of December 6, 1958, the Martins attended a Christmas party, laughter echoing as they mingled with friends. It was a night of normalcy, the kind that lulls one into security. But the next morning, Sunday, December 7th, dawned with purpose. The family had planned a day trip to the Columbia River Gorge, a stunning expanse of rugged cliffs, cascading waterfalls, and dense forests about 40 miles east of Portland. Their mission, to gather evergreen boughs, holly, and perhaps a small Christmas tree to adorn their home. It was a tradition, a wholesome adventure in their cream and red 1954 Ford Country Squire station wagon, a 9-passenger behemoth that symbolized post-war prosperity. They departed late that morning, the wagon's engine humming as it carried them eastward along Highway 30, the old Columbia River Highway. The gorge was a place of raw beauty, where the mighty Columbia River carved through basalt cliffs and winds whipped mist from Multnomah Falls. But it was also treacherous, with narrow roads hugging sheer drops and the river below churning with hidden currents. Kenneth, dressed in a tan zip-up jacket and dark slacks, drove steadily. Barbara sat beside him, perhaps chatting about holiday plans. The girls in the back, excited, peered out at the passing scenery, evergreen forests blanketed in winter hush, the river glinting like a silver serpent. Their first confirmed stop was around 4 p.m. at a gas station in Cascade Locks, a small town nestled by the river. They purchased 5 gallons of gasoline, the attendant noting the family's cheerful demeanor. Cascade Locks, with its historic navigation locks and proximity to Bonneville Dam, was a hub for travelers. From there, they pressed on to Hood River, about 20 miles east, stopping at the Paradise Snack Bar. Clara York, the waitress on duty, served them, perhaps coffee and pie, the girls giggling over milkshakes. York would later recall their ordinary politeness, nothing amiss. It was dusk by then, the winter sun dipping low, casting long shadows over the gorge. Unconfirmed sightings trickled in later. The family reportedly spotted on the north bank of the Columbia in Washington state, across the river. Were they gathering greenery there, bundles of holly in hand? Or had they crossed the Bridge of the Gods, the steel truss span linking Oregon and Washington? The details blurred, like fog rolling in from the Pacific. What is certain is that after that evening, the Martins vanished into thin air, or as it seemed, into the river's depths. Monday, December 8th, passed uneventfully until concern mounted. Kenneth didn't show up for work. The girls were absent from school. Friends and colleagues grew worried. By Tuesday, December 9th, the alarm was raised. Police entered the Martin home to find it eerily preserved, a load of laundry mid-cycle in the washing machine, dishes from Sunday's breakfast in the sink. No signs of struggle, no packed bags. Their bank accounts held substantial sums, over $2,000, ruling out a voluntary flight. It was as if they had stepped out for a moment and never returned. The disappearance ignited Oregon's largest manhunt to date. Multnomah County Sheriff's deputies, led by Sheriff Terry Shrunk, coordinated with Hood River County authorities. Helicopters buzzed overhead, search parties combed the gorge's trails and cliffs. Divers plunged into the icy Columbia, but the river, swollen from winter rains, guarded its secrets. Early on, a peculiar twist emerged. A white 1951 Chevrolet, stolen, was found abandoned in Cascade Locks on the day of the disappearance. Nearby, a .38 Colt Commander handgun, smeared with dried blood, was discovered. Strangely, the gun traced back to items allegedly stolen by Donald Martin 2 years earlier from his workplace at Meyer and Frank department store. But police dismissed any connection, never even processing the weapon for fingerprints or ballistics. Was it coincidence or an overlooked clue? Suspicion fell on 2 ex-convicts, Roy Light Sr. and an unnamed accomplice, arrested December 8th in Hood River for car theft involving that same Chevrolet. A waiter at the Paradise Snack Bar claimed to have seen them leave simultaneously with the Martins. Interrogations followed, but no solid evidence linked them. Tips flooded in, over 200 letters, hundreds of calls. An orchard owner near Hood River reported seeing a man and woman collecting greenery by a Native American burial ground. A family matching the Martins' description was sighted in Burlington, Iowa on Christmas Eve, and their Ford allegedly spotted in Billings, Montana on January 7, 1959. But each lead evaporated. A breakthrough, or heartbreak, came in the form of physical evidence. Tire tracks, matching the Fords, were found leading to a cliff's edge near the Dalles, 30 miles east of Hood River. Skid marks suggested a desperate attempt to stop, or perhaps a push. Paint chips scraped from guardrails were sent to the FBI lab in Washington, D.C., confirming a match to the cream and red station wagon. Theories swirled. Had Kenneth accidentally veered off the road in the dark? Or was foul play involved? Abduction, robbery, murder? To probe the river theory, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers lowered the water level behind Bonneville Dam by 5 feet, exposing mudflats for sonar scans. Boats dragged grapples along the bottom. Yet nothing. The gorge's winds and currents could carry debris miles downstream, complicating efforts. As winter turned to spring, hope dimmed. Then, on May 1, 1959, a drilling rig boring for a new bridge near the Dalles hooked something massive underwater. It tugged, then snapped free, dislodging whatever lurked below. The next day, a fisherman and his wife spotted bodies floating near Cascade Locks. On May 3rd, Susan's small form was recovered near Camas, Washington, 70 miles west of the Dalles. The day after, Virginia's body surfaced near Bonneville Dam, 46 miles west. Dental records confirmed their identities. Autopsies revealed drowning as the cause of death, though initial reports whispered of possible bullet holes in one skull, a detail later downplayed. Traces of aluminum clung to Susan's clothing, puzzling investigators. Nearby was an aluminum smelting plant, but how did it connect? Sheriff Rupert Gilmouth of Hood River County theorized the drilling rig had disturbed the submerged car, freeing the bodies to float with the current. Intensive searches resumed. Sonar, helicopters, divers. One diver nearly drowned in the treacherous waters, leading to a suspension of underwater efforts. The river had yielded 2 daughters, but withheld the rest: Kenneth, Barbara Jean, and Barbie. Were they still entombed in the wreckage? Or had something more sinister separated the family? The case haunted Oregon. Newspapers dubbed it the most baffling mystery in the state's history. Donald Martin, returning from New York, pleaded for answers. Community vigils lit candles, but as months turned to years, the trail iced over. Theories persisted. Accidental plunge into the river, perhaps due to fog or mechanical failure, or murder tied to the ex-cons or the bloody gun. Some whispered of family secrets, though none surfaced. The Columbia River, indifferent and eternal, flowed on, burying the truth in its silt-laden bed. Decades rolled by like the relentless Columbia, eroding hope but not memory. The Martin disappearance faded into lore, a ghost story whispered around campfires in the gorge. Books and articles revisited the enigma, speculating on the family's fate. The river, tamed by dams and locks, hid its prizes amid submerged relics, old cars, debris from floods, secrets of the past. It wasn't until 2018 that a determined figure entered the narrative. Archer Mayo, a diver from White Salmon, Washington, across the river from Hood River. Mayo, obsessed with cold cases, began self-funding an independent investigation. Armed with historical maps, old photos, and predictive modeling, calculating currents, drift patterns, and likely crash sites, he vowed to unearth the truth. Mayo's quest was methodical, diving into the Columbia's murky depths where visibility was often zero, relying on touch and sonar. He scoured areas near Cascade Locks, focusing on the Pit, an 83,000 cubic foot canal remnant from old navigation locks, deep and debris-filled, about the size of an Olympic swimming pool. In November 2024, persistence paid off. At 60 feet down, amid sediment and wood, Mayo's probe revealed an upside-down vehicle. Rear wheel, gas tank, undercarriage, all matching a 1950s station wagon. Heart pounding in the cold water, he surfaced and reported to the Hood River County Sheriff's Office. This could be it, he thought, the weight of 66 years pressing like the river's current. Sheriff Ryan Blahnik's team verified the find with underwater photos. The car, cream with red trim, aligned with the Martin's 1954 Ford. But confirmation required recovery. On March 6, 2025, a significant tip prompted action. Divers, construction crews, and a massive crane assembled at Cascade Locks. The operation was tense. The pit's instability risked collapse, and the car was wedged tight. By March 7th, the crane hoisted sections ashore. The chassis, rear axle, engine block, mangled and encrusted with river grime. Crowds gathered, media helicopters whirred overhead. This could solve one of America's oldest cold cases, reporters intoned. At a secure facility, forensics began. Serial numbers were compared to Ford records. The model matched. Paint analysis echoed the 1959 chips. Yet, no vehicle identification number, VN, survived the decades, preventing absolute certainty. Sheriff Blahnik announced, "We believe this is the Martin vehicle." But full extraction proved daunting. The pit's depth and debris halted efforts by March 24th. The sheriff's office suspended operations, citing safety and cost, though the case remained open. Parts were sent for further analysis, including potential DNA traces. Mayo, undeterred, continued private dives, his resolve steeling against bureaucracy. Summer 2025 brought sweltering heat to the gorge, but the river's chill beckoned. On August 19th, Mayo plunged again, this time into the car's remnants. What he uncovered chilled him deeper than the water. Human remains, skeletal and fragmented, entangled in the wreckage. He believed they belonged to Kenneth and Barbara Jean Martin, the parents lost to time. Unsure about Barbie, the eldest daughter, he noted the bones' positions suggested they were in the front seats. Artifacts emerged like ghosts, toys, perhaps the girls' playthings, clothing scraps, including nylons, cameras, one with a cover engraved Ken Martin, and what Mayo identified as Barbara's shoe. Each item, preserved in the anaerobic silt, whispered of that fateful day. Greenery gathering turned tragedy. Mayo carefully documented, then surfaced to alert authorities. "This is real evidence," he told reporters, his voice steady but eyes haunted. "It's devastating, but it could bring closure." He handed over the remains and items to the sheriff's office, which took custody. A spokesperson confirmed receipt, but withheld details. "This is an active investigation." Plans for DNA testing loomed, comparing to Donald Martin's descendants. He had passed in 2016, but family DNA could verify. The Cascade Locks Historical Museum, housing Martin artifacts, buzzed with anticipation. A ceremony to honor the family was planned, perhaps interring the remains beside Virginia and Susan, buried in Portland's Rose City Cemetery. The discovery electrified the nation. Headlines screamed, "66-year mystery solved." Podcasts dissected theories anew. The river had finally relented, yielding its hold. But how did the car end up in the pit? Currents from a cliff plunged near the Dalles could have carried it 40 miles west, twisting through dams and eddies. Or was it deliberate, pushed as tire tracks suggested? The body's separation puzzled. Virginia and Susan floated free in 1959, likely after the drilling disturbance, but the parents and Barbie remained trapped. Aluminum on Susan's clothes. River contamination or clue? Community reactions mixed grief with relief. In Cascade Locks, locals like those at the museum reflected, "It's like finding a lost chapter of history." Mayo, hailed a hero, emphasized teamwork, though his independent dives raised eyebrows. As forensic labs hummed, analyzing bones for trauma, drowning, impact, or foul play. The gorge's winds seemed to sigh with unresolved tension. Yet the river's revelation opened more doors than it closed. What truly happened on December 7th, 1958? Did fog or darkness cause Kenneth to swerve off the road, plummeting into the Columbia's embrace? Or did the ex-convicts, shadowing from the snack bar, orchestrate a heist gone wrong, forcing the family over the edge? Why the bloody gun nearby, dismissed so quickly? Could family discord, unproven whispers of tension, play a role? How did the bodies separate, 2 floating miles apart, while 3 stayed submerged? Were the possible bullet holes in 1959 a misreport, or evidence of murder? What secrets might the cameras hold if film survives? And why, after 66 years, did the pit, a man-made scar, become their tomb? The Martin saga, once vanished in fog, now drowns in questions, the river's murmur a eternal tease.